Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing another episode of the Complete Marvel Rivals Guide. My name is Kearless, and if you don't know me already, I am a two-time Peak Eternity player and continue to play this game to this very day. It's nice to meet you. This is the Complete Marvel Rivals Guide. It is a series where I will be posting every single day going over high-level concepts that you should be utilizing in your own games if you want to improve. My overall goal with this series is to help a ton of people to achieve their peak ranks. And without any further ado, let's get into it. On screen now, I'm going to put up the complete lesson guide, so if you guys ever wanted to choose a lesson that you're not super comfortable on, I'm going to put that on screen now so you can go ahead and pick one. Alright everybody, welcome to part 4 of the series. We're 18 out of 30 the way through. Today's going to be lesson 19, which is going to talk about threat mapping. So before I get a little bit into that, we're going to do a little recap. So up to this point, we've taught you how to understand fights and macro gameplay, but now we're going to teach you how to read the danger before it happens. So threat mapping is about recognizing what can punish you right now. So this kind of goes into the thought of that a lot of deaths feel random in the moment, but usually they weren't random. You just didn't recognize the threat before it actually reached you. So this comes into threat mapping, and threat mapping is identifying which enemies can threaten you, from where, and with what abilities. It's basically like creating a mental map of danger around you, so you know where all the danger is going to possibly be coming from. And that map constantly changes throughout the fight. It's never really the same and doesn't really stay the same because people are always moving their positions, you know? So you should be asking yourself, who can kill me? Where can they attack me from? What abilities do they need to use to get to me? And how quickly can they reach me? All of these are good to understand, so that way you have a strong concept of threat mapping. Alright, so I want to mention that not every enemy is an equal threat. There are some characters that can simply counter you, and some characters you can simply counter them. So just because you can see all 6 enemies, it doesn't mean that all 6 actually matter equally. So for example, if you're playing Punisher and the enemy Groot is just way too far away to reach you, and the Spider-Man hasn't shown in 5 seconds, you should be way more worried about the Spider-Man because he's the one that's probably gonna hit you first. So especially when playing against Dive, the most dangerous enemy probably isn't even the one that you're looking at. And this gets us into the idea of visible threats versus invisible threats. So visible threats is the enemy that you're currently fighting, or the sniper that's holding an angle, the tank that's walking towards you, or simply the duelist that's actively diving you. These are very easy to identify because you can literally see them right in front of you. But the invisible threats, this is where the better players separate themselves from the average players. Couple examples are the Spider-Man hasn't appeared in a couple of seconds, so you think that he might be on the off angle trying to hit you, or the Psylocke has disappeared around the flank, or the magic hasn't engaged yet, or the enemy ultimates have not been used. You should be reacting to what might happen, not only what has happened. But something that will help keep track of all of this and to show which threats you should manage right away are their threat ranges. So every single hero has a range where they become dangerous. Wolverine across the map, he's literally not going to do anything. But a Wolverine that's 2 feet in front of you, that's a huge threat. He could grab you and he could slash you and just chop you up just like that. Another example is a Punisher across an open sightline. He's a huge threat, but a Punisher that's behind 3 walls is almost no threat. So your positioning should change and acclimate based on who can actually interact with you and who you want to interact with. So now for threat zones, I want you to think of every single enemy as creating an invisible danger zone around them. And inside that zone, that's where they can pretty much punish you. But outside that zone, I would say that you're relatively safe. So different heroes create different shapes of threat, obviously. So like Wolverine, he has a small close range threat zone, where Punisher has a huge threat zone where he can like hit you from. Spider-Man has a huge mobility based threat zone, and then Groot has like an area denial around his like walls and chokes. So you don't literally need to visualize these circles, but just like understand them. So like you need to be thinking like, oh, if I stand here, then this person can reach me, or if I stand here, then I'm safe from this person. Something else that I'm thinking about that I actually didn't put in my notes is that cooldowns will also change the threat levels. So like a hero's threat isn't like permanent, you know? So like if a Spider-Man has all of his mobility available, then he's like a high threat. But if the Spider-Man uses everything and then he misses, his threat level drops dramatically. And also that circle around him, or the shape around him, will also drop, and it won't be as wide because he doesn't have any mobility to get to you. So, but also like if the Luna has her freeze, then she's harder to punish. The Luna can probably escape. And if the Luna has her freeze, then she's a lot harder to punish because she has some sort of defensive cooldown. Now it's easier for the Luna to escape, and she's not as vulnerable. This connects right back to the cooldown economy, which is a past lesson that we've done. So if this doesn't make as much sense to you, I highly recommend that you go back and look at that lesson. So if you've ever played a MOBA, you've definitely learned about missing enemies. This is one of the easiest like threat mapping habits, is like if a dangerous enemy isn't visible to your team, then assume that they're doing something dangerous. So especially the characters that are like flankers or like divers, or any hero that does like a strong burst, don't automatically panic, but just like adjust to what's happening. So like an example would be like to move closer to your cover, or save your escape ability, or stay near your team, save your defensive cooldowns, or just like don't take the aggressive angle because you know that the other person might be there. So for threat mapping before a fight, you want to think like before the fight begins, ask yourself, so what's gonna kill me here? An example, if like you're the Luna Snow and the enemy team has like a Spider-Man, Psylocke, and Venom, then your first thought should be, who am I healing and where should I stand? And it should also be, where can these three heroes engage me from and where can they not engage me from, so you know where to stand and then where not to stand. So now your positioning is actually based on threats that the enemy team has, not just following your teammates. And something a little different is threat mapping during a fight. The threat map constantly changes, so like if the Spider-Man engages on your tank, now he's less threatening to you, you know? Or if like the Psylocke appears on the opposite side of the map, now she's not a priority threat to you. Or if the Venom uses his mobility and then another threat disappears temporarily because he doesn't have that cooldown up. So you want to keep updating your mental map whenever you can, and this will help a lot with your positioning and cooldown usage as well. This connects directly to lesson 4, and that good positioning is not just am I near cover, but it's am I safe from the threats that actually matter. So like a position that can be safe against a Punisher might still be terrible against the Spider-Man. So positioning is like super matchup dependent, especially if you're playing support. And this also connects to lesson 5, talking about angles. Every single time that you take an off angle, you're gaining pressure, but you're potentially exposing yourself to new threats. So ask yourself, who can see this angle, who can rotate onto me, and where is my escape? An aggressive angle is only valuable if you like survive enough to use it. So if you're not going to survive in the end and you're not getting an efficient trade, then there's not much of a reason to take that aggressive angle, unless you're getting an absurd amount of value. So now for the good examples is like if you're playing Luna Snow and the enemy Spider-Man disappears, instead of continuing to stand alone on an off angle or like just in the middle of the open, you should move closer to the people that can help you on your team and save your defensive cooldowns. So that way when the Spider-Man dives, your team can turn on him, or even you can freeze him, and then he's gonna die. So you defended against the player before it even happened in this situation, and that's what made you survive. Another good example is like your Punisher on the high ground and the enemy Wolverine is approaching through just like the main angle, but the enemy Psylocke hasn't even shown. So instead of tunneling the Wolverine, you want to keep checking your flank, and when the Psylocke appears, then you're ready and you can just reposition immediately. So this is just threat awareness, and it will always prevent you from surprise. And now for the bad examples, if the enemy Spider-Man hasn't been visible for about 10 seconds, and then you continue to play alone on the high ground, he's literally just going to show up behind you, and then you're already dead before you can even react to his combo. So the lesson is, reacting after the threat arrives is often way too late. And another bad example is if you're playing a ranged DPS and the enemy Wolverine is way too far, and then you end up panicking and you back up because you're worried about him. Meanwhile, the enemy Punisher has a clean sightline on you and then kills you. So the threat mapping isn't about fearing everything, it's about identifying what actually matters, because in that situation, you didn't even need to back up when the Wolverine was approaching you. And now for the common mistakes that I see when I VOD review lower ranked games. So a couple of them to mention are only watching enemies that are directly in front of you, forgetting about the missing flankers, treating every enemy as equally dangerous, ignoring the enemy cooldowns, staying in the same exact position as the threats change throughout the fight, and reacting to danger instead of actually anticipating it like you should be doing. Now a couple of questions for you to ask yourself. You want to be asking, what can kill me right now? Who hasn't been shown recently? What angles am I vulnerable to? Which enemy has the tools to reach me? What defensive resources do I need to save myself? And has the threat changed since the fight started? And as always, I always finish off with some homework for you guys. So for your next 5 games, choose one enemy hero who is especially dangerous to you in that matchup. Throughout the match, you want to ask yourself, where are they? And before taking that aggressive position, think about, if they actually attacked you right now, what's your answer, you know? The goal is to start predicting danger instead of reacting to it when it's already on top of you. Oh, wait, pause. So threat mapping is one of those things that kind of potentially becomes like automatic. So you stop kind of thinking about, oh, the Spider-Man hasn't shown, so he's probably thinking. You start like positioning yourself differently. But to build that instinct, you do have to deliberately practice it first. And then the better you get at like identifying the threats early on, the fewer deaths that you'll have that feel like completely random. So knowing what can threaten you is only useful if you actually know what's happening around you. And in lesson 20, we're going to be talking about like the information gathering and how to track the enemy positions and read what the other team is doing, and then make the decisions with the more information than other players around you so you can have the advantage. Yo, thank you guys for 50 subs. That's pretty crazy. It feels really good, and it's a good motivator for me to like keep wanting to go and keep posting videos. So just thank you guys for that. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, I'm still working on a couple other videos. It felt really good to post a 40-minute video yesterday. These videos that are only like 13-14 minutes still take a long time of my day, so it was really nice to get that done. I got a couple more coming, so just stay tuned. If you like this kind of videos, if you like this kind of content, please hit the like, the subscribe button. I am always open to comments and suggestions. I'm pretty new to this YouTube stuff, so literally just keep them coming at me. If this video is boring, you want me to have more background stuff, you don't like the slideshow format that I do at the beginning and the end, just tell me. I'm trying to help you guys. That's my main goal, like I said in the beginning. But yeah, so just let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.